The Galactic Alliance War Council chamber was always noisy, full of voices from 100 worlds. But that day, the air was different. Tense. Afraid. A giant hologram floated above the round table, spinning image of an enormous alien fortress drifting in space. Its black surface was covered with towers, strange weapons, and lights that flickered like a heartbeat.
Oh.
The fortress blocked one of the Alliance's most important trade routes. Without that route, half the galaxy's supplies would run dry in weeks. The problem was simple and terrifying. Every strike team the Alliance had sent inside never came back.
Odd.
Not a single message. No bodies, no wreckage. A deep-voiced council member from the Zorak species slammed his clawed hand on the table. We must destroy it from the outside. A tall, silver-skinned Zavari shook her head. Its shields are too strong. We tried that already. The only way to disable it is from inside. The arguments went in circles. Who should go next? Who would be willing? The Korath commanders refused. The Valari fleet said their warriors were too valuable to waste. Even the aggressive Ralvar soldiers looked away. Then, in the middle of the shouting, an old alien admiral leaned back in his chair, chewing on something, looking half bored. Finally, he muttered, "Send in the humans, I guess." The room went dead silent. Whispers spread. The humans? They'll never survive. Perfect. Let them try. Across the chamber, in the shadowed corner, a small squad of 5. Humans stood waiting. They had been silent the entire meeting. Now they all smiled, the kind of smile that made some aliens uneasy. Captain Mara Voss stepped forward. She was tall, with short black hair and eyes that scanned the room like she already knew everyone's secrets. "We'll take the mission," she said simply. An insectoid general clicked his mandibles. "No one returns from there." Mara's voice stayed calm. "We understand." The next day, the human squad stood on the docking bay, loading their gear into a small, heavily armored shuttle. The other species gathered to watch, some curious, some smirking. As they checked their weapons, a tall Ralvar soldier leaned in and said, "You humans are reckless. That's why you were chosen. You're expendable." "Ah!" Mara didn't even look at him. "That's funny," she said, "because we were thinking the same thing about you." The Ralvar's grin faded. The flight to the fortress was silent. Except for the hum of the engines, the structure grew larger on the view screen, an endless wall of black alloy and faint red lights, like the eyes of something that was sleeping and about to wake up. Inside the shuttle, Sergeant Holt adjusted his helmet. "Captain, anyone else feel watched? Stay focused," Mara said. "This is just another mission." But in truth, even she felt it, a pressure in the air, like invisible eyes tracking every move. They approached a small docking port on the fortress's side. The automated defenses didn't fire. They just waited. "That's not creepy at all," muttered Private Kirillin, the youngest in the squad. The shuttle docked. The airlock hissed open, revealing a long, dim corridor made of black metal. Strange symbols pulsed faintly along the walls like veins. They stepped inside. The moment they crossed the threshold, the shuttle door slammed shut behind them. The lock indicators on their helmets all flashed red. Captain," Holt said. "That door's not opening again." Mara's voice stayed steady. "Go forward." They moved deeper into the fortress. Their boots echoed on the metal floor, but there was another sound, faint, almost hidden. At first it sounded like static on the coms. Then slowly it formed into something else. A voice. A human voice. "Turn back." Kira froze. "Captain, did you hear that?" Everyone stopped. The voice came again, soft and broken, like someone whispering from a long distance. "You shouldn't be here." Holt swore under his breath. "What the hell is that? There are no humans here." "Keep moving," Mara ordered, but her eyes narrowed. They reached a fork in the corridor. One path glowed faintly red, the other green. Mara glanced at the green path. That way. The moment they stepped toward it, the lights flickered, and the green path went dark. Only the red glow remained. "Well," Holt muttered, "that's subtle." They took the red path. The air grew colder. and the walls seemed to curve inward, like the fortress itself was breathing. The voice came again, louder this time. "You can't leave." Kira's hands tightened on her rifle. "Captain," that voice sounds scared. Mara didn't answer. She was listening closely now. The tone wasn't threatening. It was warning them. Then, without warning, the floor ahead split open. A sharp black spine shot upward, blocking the path. From the shadows beyond, something moved. Tall, insect-like machines with too many legs crawled into view. Their heads glowed with a single red eye. "Contact," Mara said calmly. "Weapons free." The humans opened fire. Blue-white flashes lit the corridor as bullets tore into the machines. Sparks rained down. One machine lunged, but Holt tackled it, shoving a grenade into its joints before diving back. The explosion shook the floor. Kira grinned. Not so scary now. But even as the last machine fell, the voice spoke again. "You're already part of it." Mara's grip tightened on her rifle. "Move. We find the core. We shut this thing down." None of them noticed that the walls around them were still pulsing, as if the fortress was listening, watching. Ghosts in the dark, the first thing Captain Mara. Voss noticed inside the alien fortress was the silence. Not the normal kind, but the deep, heavy kind that pressed against her ears, like the air itself was holding its breath. Her team moved carefully down the dark corridor. Dim red lights pulsed along the walls, casting long shadows. The place smelled faintly metallic, mixed with something older, the scent of dust that had been undisturbed for centuries. "Command, this is Voss," she whispered into her "Come." "We're inside, moving forward." Only static answered her. "Comes." "Dead," muttered Sergeant Rafe Torres, the team's weapons expert. Figures always happens in creepy alien death traps. Behind them, Specialist Kira Dunn scanned the walls with her handheld. "The readings are weird," she said, her brow furrowing. "The metal here, it's alive. Like it's reacting to us." Corporal Hayes laughed nervously. "Metal doesn't react. It's just metal, not this metal," Kira replied, tapping the scanner. "It's almost like it's watching us." Before anyone could respond, the whisper came again. Soft. "Close human, turn back." Mara froze. "Did anyone hear that?" The rest of the team looked at her blankly. "Hear what?" Rafe asked. A voice. A human voice. Kira shook her head. "We're the only humans in here. Maybe you're..." The floor shifted. A deep, low groan echoed through the corridor, and suddenly a section of the wall rippled like liquid metal. Out of it stepped something that made every alien threat briefing seem small. It was tall, at least 3 meters, and shaped vaguely like a humanoid, but its body was covered in black armor that looked grown, not built. Its head was smooth, faceless, except for a single glowing red slit where eyes should be. "Contact," Rafe shouted, raising his rifle. Before he could fire, the thing moved. It didn't run, didn't even seem to step. 1 second it was standing 10 meters away, the next it was in front of him. A flash of movement, Rafe was on the floor, coughing, his weapon shattered in two. Hayes fired, the bullets sparking off the armor like pebbles against a wall. The creature didn't flinch. "Fall back," Mara ordered. They sprinted down the corridor, boots pounding against the strange metal. The thing didn't chase them. It just stood there, watching, the red slit in its face tracking them until they turned the corner. They stopped, panting, in a wider chamber. The room was circular, lined with more of the pulsing red lights. In the center stood a massive door, smooth black, and featureless except for a single human handprint symbol glowing faintly on its surface. Kira stepped forward, staring at it. "That's impossible. This fortress is thousands of years old. How could it have?" The whisper came again. Louder this time. "Don't open it." Everyone froze. This time they all heard it. Hayes swallowed hard. That was definitely human. "Command needs to hear this," Mara said, trying her "come" again. Still static. The door's glow intensified, the handprint pulsing as if calling them closer. Then, from somewhere deep inside the fortress, a heavy metallic crash echoed through the halls. Something else was awake now. Something bigger.
Mara looked at
her team, then at the door. "We move," she said. But in the dark corners of the fortress, unseen shapes shifted, began to follow them. The team moved deeper into the alien fortress, their footsteps echoing in the long, curved corridors. The air felt heavier now, each breath thick, as if the place itself was pushing against them. The red lights along the walls pulsed faster, almost like a heartbeat. "Anyone else feel like this thing is alive?" Hayes muttered, glancing over his shoulder. "It's not alive," Kira said, checking her scanner again. Her hands trembled. "It's remembering. I think it's recording us. Every movement. Every sound." "Why?" Rafe asked, keeping his new rifle up. "We're just another strike team." Kira stopped walking. Her voice was quiet, but it cut through the silence. "That's the thing. We're not just another team. This fortress knows we're human." Mara frowned. "What are you saying?" Kira tapped her scanner screen. "It's locking. Onto our DNA signature? The patterns are precise. It's not reacting to Hayes. It's reacting to all of us. This place. It's been programmed to recognize humans." Before anyone could respond, the whisper returned louder, desperate. "Turn back. They'll see you." The team froze. Rafe's eyes darted down the corridor. Cap. Think they already have. From the shadows ahead, shapes began to move. First one, then two, then a dozen. Tall, armored figures stepped into view, their red visor slits glowing. In unison, they were the same as the one they'd seen before, faceless, black-armored, impossible to track when they moved. But they didn't attack. They just stood there, blocking the path, like a wall of living machines. "What now?" Hayes whispered. Mara stepped forward slowly, one hand raised. "We're not here to fight." The machines responded in unison. Their voices deep and metallic. "You came back." The words sent a chill down Mara's spine. Kira's voice was almost a whisper. "Did they just say, 'came back'?" Before Mara could reply, the walls around them shifted. The metal rippled like water, forming strange symbols, not alien, but human. English letters. The message read, "Go back." Hayes's voice cracked. "This doesn't make sense. This place is ancient. How could it even know English?" Kira shook her head. "Unless it's not alien." That's when the lights changed. The steady red heartbeat turned to a rapid, blinding strobe. The machines stepped aside, not to let them pass, but to reveal something else down the corridor. A huge shadow moved in the flickering light, dragging itself closer with heavy metallic thuds. Mara gripped her weapon. "Everyone ready?" "Whatever. That is, it's coming for us." And deep in the fortress, the whisper spoke one last time, this time with a voice that sounded exactly like Mara's own. "Run." The shadow that knew their names, the shadow moved closer, each step. Shaking the metal floor, the light from their helmets caught it for just a moment, enough to see pieces of it. Not one solid body, but a shifting mass of black armor plates, tangled cables, and burning red eyes that slid across its surface like they weren't fixed in one place. Rafe swore under his breath. "It's not a machine. It's something else." The voice, Mara's voice, echoed again from the darkness. "Run." Mara's grip tightened on her rifle. She didn't run. Instead, she took one step forward. "Who are you?" The shadow stopped moving. Then, with a metallic shriek, the plates on its surface peeled back like flower petals, revealing something inside, a human face. Pale, scarred, eyes wide with a strange, unnatural glow. The lips moved, and the voice came out raw, broken. "Captain Mara Voss, I know you. I know all of you." Hayes's voice cracked. "That's impossible. We've never been here." The figure twitched, wires pulling at its neck and limbs. "You haven't, but we have." Kira's scanner beeped violently. "Captain, I'm reading human DNA," confirmed. "This thing is part human." Mara's mind raced. "Part human? From where?" "This place has been sealed for centuries." The shadow stepped closer, and the human face looked directly at her. "Not sealed, guarded, and we were the guards. Long ago, before the galaxy remembered you existed." The team exchanged glances, unease growing in their eyes. The figure's voice deepened, almost mechanical. We were soldiers. We came here on a mission like you. But the fortress doesn't let you leave. It changes you. Hayes's knuckles whitened around his weapon. So you're saying every team that came here? Yes, the voice cut him off. They're still here, watching, waiting, serving. Mara's stomach twisted. Why humans? Why only humans? The shadow's red eyes flared, because we were the only ones who could control it, and when we failed, it controlled us. The armored figures behind it began to move again, forming a wide circle around the team. The walls shifted, the English letters melting into strange, jagged symbols. Kira whispered, "Cap, the exit's gone." The shadow leaned closer, so close Mara could see the faint, trembling lines of its human face beneath the armor. Can still escape, but you'll have to choose. Leave now, and the fortress sleeps. Stay, and it wakes. The ground trembled under their boots. A distant rumble echoed through the corridor, deep and hungry. Hayes looked at Mara. "Captain, orders?" Mara stared into the shadow's glowing eyes. Whatever decision she made, she knew one thing. The fortress hadn't just remembered humans. It had been waiting for them. The walls groaned like a living thing, metal shifting under unseen force. The air grew heavy, each breath tasting like dust and rusted blood. Somewhere deep inside the fortress, something massive was moving, and it was moving toward them. "Move," Mara barked, shoving Hayes toward the nearest corridor. The team sprinted, boots slamming against the trembling floor. Behind them, the shadow and its armored followers didn't chase. They simply watched. That was worse. As they ran, Kira's scanner kept pinging erratically, picking up life signs that flickered in and out like bad radio signals. "They're everywhere," she hissed. "I don't know if they're alive," or a deafening clang cut her off. A bulkhead slammed down in front of them, blocking the path. The corridor lights flickered, and for a moment the walls seemed to ripple like the metal itself was breathing. Hayes aimed his rifle at the door. "We blow it." "No," Mara snapped. "You heard what that thing said? Fortress isn't just walls and doors. It's alive." As if in answer, the bulkhead split down the center. Long, thin metallic tendrils slid out, writhing toward them like snakes. Rafe opened fire, bullets sparking against the tendrils, but they didn't stop. One wrapped around his arm and yanked, slamming him into the wall with a sickening thud. "Cut it!" Mara yelled. Kira lunged forward with her plasma blade, slicing the tendril in two. The severed metal twitched on the ground like a dying insect. More tendrils erupted from the floor and ceiling. The fortress wasn't trapping them. It was testing them. They fought their way forward, hacking and shooting through the writhing metal until they reached a wide chamber. The moment they stepped inside, the doors sealed shut. In the center of the room was a massive structure, like a throne made from twisted metal and bone. And sitting on it was another human, or what was left of one. The figure was fused. To the throne, wires snaking into their spine and skull. Their eyes opened, glowing the same crimson as the shadows. "Mara Voss," the figure said in a calm, almost gentle voice. "I am the commander of the first human mission here." Kira's voice was barely a whisper. "That was over 200 years ago," the commander said, "and I have been awake for every second. The fortress does not let us die. It uses us. It learns from us. And now it wants you." The floor cracked. The throne rose higher, metal grinding, and the commander's voice deepened. "If you stay, you will understand. If you leave, it will follow you. There is no escape." The team froze. The fortress had given them its truth, and it wasn't a threat. It was a promise. No way out, the commander's glowing eyes locked on Mara, unblinking. "You've seen what this place can do," he said. "You felt it breathing, felt it thinking. The fortress was built to adapt, but with humans, it's evolving." Hayes clenched his jaw. "Not staying here to become part of your freak show." The commander smiled sadly, as if he had heard the same line 1,000 times. "You think you have a choice? It's the first illusion this place takes from you."
Oh.
The floor shuddered violently, and the throne began to sink into the ground. From the walls, dozens of armored drones emerged, their glowing visors fixed on the humans. The team's weapons came up instantly, but Mara raised a hand. "Wait," she said quietly. "If this thing learns from what it captures, we can't let it have us." Kira's voice was sharp. "So what's the plan? Die here?" "No," Mara said, her tone like steel. "We take it with us." She reached into her pack and pulled out a dull black sphere, a gravitic imploder, illegal in half the galaxy.
Powerful enough to crush a moonship into a pebble?
Hayes' eyes widened. "You were carrying that the whole time." Mara didn't answer. She thumbed the arming switch. A deep, low hum filled the chamber. The drones instantly surged forward. "Go!" Mara yelled. The team fought their way back toward the sealed doors, plasma bolts and bullets tearing through. Metal limbs. The imploder's hum grew louder, deeper, the sound of gravity itself winding up. Halfway to the door, the shadow appeared again, blocking the path. This time, it didn't speak. It lunged. Rafe threw himself into it, both vanishing into a writhing mass of black and steel. "Get out!" he roared. Mara hesitated, then slammed her palm against the emergency override on the wall. The bulkhead tore open, and the rest of the team stumbled. Through, they sprinted through collapsing corridors, the fortress groaning in fury. At the airlock, Mara turned back just once, just in time to see the throne room fold in on itself like paper. The imploder's gravity collapsing metal, bone, and shadow into a single, crushing point. The fortress screamed. Then it went silent. "Howard!" Aboard their ship, the survivors sat in the darkened cabin. No one spoke. The stars drifted outside the viewport, peaceful. Too peaceful. Then quietly, the ship's console flickered. On, a crimson light pulsed. And from the comes, a familiar human voice whispered, "There is no escape."